Right, let's see if that's any better. There, we'll try again. I was saying that I like the rain. Makes me feel like I can get more done in a day. Because you're not so distracted. If it's a beautiful day outside, you don't want to work.
Is this why they don't work in California?
They certainly work less than they do in colder places.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe there's no truth to this at all. There's no statistical evidence to bear it out. But that's what I think.
You know what's a great way to start the morning? I was walking to work. So I get off at the Gautrain station in Park, and then I walk up to work, right? It's like a 5-minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
There's this guy, 2 milk stouts. It's Monday morning. It's
first thing.
And then he's got like a dragon there. So he's going to chug these milk stouts and he's going to wash it down with the dragon. And then he's going to rear it and go to work.
What a way to start your day, hey? Wow.
That's a way to start your
Imagine
day.
That's what you need.
That's what you need. Just tools.
To get your day started. You're like, I'm not going to make it through the first 10 hours of the day if I don't have 2 milk stouts and a dragon. And that dragon energy drink looks like it's very hardcore.
Have you seen these energy drinks though?
I know some of them scare the hell out of me. So I bought one because there's this one friend of mine. She loves those things, and she's developed some kind of I wouldn't say it's diabetes or anything.
Diabetes,
but she's definitely developed some sort of a reaction to these energy drinks, because I think if you do too many of them, it screws up your system completely.
Surely.
Metabolically, it's got it right. Anyway, so I used to buy her these weird ones that you'd get at like those funny little shops that are run by like foreigners, and they bring in shit that you don't see in any other shops.
Yeah.
And you think this has got to be like 99% just syrup and glucose. There's just nothing else going on in there. And it tastes like sweets, like those gummy bear sweets, right? You know those ones?
I've seen those ones. Like gummy
so I bought this for her. So I give it to her. She cracks it open, and she's like, "Whoa! Even for me, this is too much." It's like, and they've designed these things to taste exactly like the sweets. So you get different. A Turkish delight one, and I think this is pure flavorant, sugar.
Yeah.
And like
nothing in that bottle is natural.
All the bad stuff.
Yeah, nothing in that bottle is natural.
Everything in there is going to kill you fast.
Yeah, very quickly. Your heart will be pumping like hell, but to the grave.
Oh no, your heart's going to be going all day. It's insane. All right. Good morning, bitches, says Sean. That's nice. I love it. I love being greeted with a good morning, bitches. And Lucky says it stinks. I assume you mean those drinks. I don't know if they...
Or Joburg when it rains, because that's
Dave says I had colleagues who'd ritually have a dragon and a cigarette for breakfast every morning. It's only a matter of time.
Well, I saw an article that baby used to be recommended wide at some point.
There's something very odd about like these people and their daily routines. I could very easily do without coffee, but it's become like a thing that I do now. And on a Thursday, I stop at the garage and I buy it for Pumi and for me. And it's become a thing. And I like establishing these rituals, but I sometimes think it's probably, I don't know that coffee is actually the best thing to wake up to. I know we're all used to it, but there is research that they've brought out just recently that says actually you should start your day with nothing
but water.
Yeah, you should fast for the first 6 hours of the day from 6 until 12. You don't need anything.
I'm actually listening to a podcast. I haven't gone through it, but it talks about coffee and how it's oversold that it's unhealthy for you. But like the only negative impact it has is on your sleep.
Yeah.
So, and then if your sleep falls, then everything falls, right?
Okay, well, I've got a hard and fast rule. So you're the doctor in the studio this morning. Do you think it matters if I have one in the morning, as long as if I have another one, which is unlikely, but if I have another one, it'll be before lunchtime and that's it. That's probably unlikely, or does it last that long?
Nah, it probably doesn't last that long, but people are different. It's like, I know people like, I can't have one after midday. I can have one just before I sleep. Poof, gone.
And you'll still sleep like a baby.
I can have a monster. Gone.
Tell you what doesn't make you sleep well, because I know this from a couple of months back when I had a big night, and alcohol just like for about 3 days, it just ruins your sleeping.
Yeah, it does.
that really messes your sleep up.
It does.
Because you're awake and asleep and awake and asleep. And it's a very disturbed, weird.
Like, not to go into this deep, but like I think it messes up with your circadian rhythm. So you don't actually fall into that REM sleep. So even if you are asleep, you're technically passed out, but your brain's still firing.
Well, listen to what Basitsana does. She says, I have green tea in the morning and I fast until midday. William says, now for my 3rd cup of coffee this morning. I have a sugar addiction. William, you gonna die. You gonna die.
Yep.
Yeah, and not 8 hours before sleep is what Kampamba says for coffee. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, whatever your routine, if your thing is 2 milk stouts.
2 milk stouts on a dragon.
And a dragon. Ooh. I feel like...
Have you ever had a milk stout?
No. I don't even drink Guinness.
Like, I've seen a milk stout.
I don't even drink Guinness.
I've always been fascinated by it because it's so black. It's blacker than Coke. And like, that can't be good for you.
And I really think that there's some kind of rule that actually white people are not allowed it.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I've never seen white people drinking
it. Exactly. I think there's like, on the bottle, if you turn it around, like, alcohol may kill you. Also, white person.
Also, white people, this kill you too. So stay away from it. Okay, so here's something interesting. So Dave says digging the shirt, and then Basitsana also says never seen you wearing a purple shirt. Think it's working. Okay, so
yes, the regal color.
So when I was on the trip recently to Greece and Rome, there was someone on there called Jolene, and she said to me, no, she studied this stuff, right? And she reckons if you are blonde with my sort of skin tone, that you've got to wear bright colors. Now, I've never paid attention to this. Women will have textbooks on this stuff in their houses, right? And they'll have search results that go back till they were, I don't know, 12, saying what colors you should wear. And there's like there's a summer and there's a winter and there's a spring and there's a whole thing that was worked out. But I don't know if this is still valid. But this is what she was talking about from the 90s or something. And she follows us to the letter, and she reckons it's the best way to go. So I don't know, but if people notice something, usually it's worth paying attention to yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I should not wear, like, the worst color for me to wear is yellow. I look like shit wearing yellow.
That's literally your branding, black and yellow.
I know, but if I wear just plain, like I look like I'm dying of liver problems.
Yeah.
Or kidney failure or something.
Like my jaundice.
It's terrible, right? So I know that, but I don't know too much about the rest. And I have stopped applying my mind to that stuff.
But like, wait, okay, so 3 people just complimented you, plus the lady on the trip. Clearly the shirt's working.
Okay, so what do you know for a fact that certain colors suit you better?
Yes, black. That's why
I wear black most of the time.
Yes, all the time.
Because then it also doesn't draw, because we're doing photographs the whole time here, and there are people in and out, and it doesn't necessarily it suggests that you saw like 3 people on one day and then nobody. So it's just it works, and black is so straightforward. You don't have to worry about it clashing with whatever the background is or all that shit. So I know that. But besides black, is there anything is there a color you prefer to wear?
I prefer to wear black, but I got so many compliments. So I went to this dinner last week, right? And then Rena didn't recognize me.
Why? Because you dressed up properly?
Yeah, I dressed up. Yes, I dressed up properly for once. So I'm wearing a shirt and like these beige pants, and the shirt is like navy with like some kind of pattern. Right. And then I walk past her, and then she's like, And then I come greet her. She's like, oh, I didn't see you there. I've been seeing you walk around the room, but I didn't see that it was you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I guess this does something. She's like,
Well, I don't know if that's like a lack of observant status on
Come
her
on,
part.
it's Rena. She observes everything.
Well, maybe and maybe not. But if she didn't notice it was you until you were like right there standing next to her, that's like she's not paying attention. But then she liked the outfit you were wearing.
Yeah.
See, this is more of a women thing than it is a guy thing. But I wouldn't know. Like if you asked me what you wore yesterday, I have no idea.
Same.
I don't know what you were wearing. I could care less. I don't know what any of the girls were wearing yesterday.
But you have to compliment them.
No, but you will. I mean, like if one of the ladies here at work dresses well, or if someone in the family or one of my friends pitches up girls and they look good, I always say, "Hey, you look great," and I mean it because like I would have noticed. And for me to notice means click, compliment, there we go. And it all makes sense. But do I remember the next day what they wore the previous day? Hell no. And do I know what other guys are wearing? Hell no. And I've never looked at a guy's outfit and gone, well, he's dressed nice. I must get a similar outfit.
Come on, you're lying. I
I've
can prove you're lying.
never-
I
okay,
can literally prove you're
Tell
lying.
me.
James Bond.
Dude,
So what is James Bond wearing?
Bond wearing?
Look at tuxedo.
Okay, so but I got tuxedo is a uniform for all men at a black tie dinner. It's like in the book.
Yes.
So what you want is it must be a tuxedo, but it must fit you well. That's all. But it's not like that you can I'm not going to wear like a blue tie or something, or I'm not some fashion forward kind of guy, and I never have been. I couldn't care less about it. But it is hilarious to me how much time some people spend on that stuff. And believe me, I'm not knocking it because each to their own.
But like,
it's good. It's good that there are people who dress properly. If you're a guy and you're spending too much time thinking about what you're wearing, wasting your time.
Okay, well, counter argument just before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like these guys who focus on what the president wears and what tie projects what. Like if you're wearing a red tie, which means like.
Did you see Biden he was at some Turkey Thanksgiving pardoning thing that they do every year, and he suddenly gets this look on his face, and he like moves very fast, almost like a slow jog, back into the White House, like he shit his pants.
Probably.
I'm saying that like the Americans do because it's funnier. He shat in his pants is the way I would usually say it, but it looks like he shat his pants. Okay. He ran into the house. I got to find this video for you. It is hilarious. Definitely something going on there. And he was wearing God knows what, because I didn't notice his
exactly. But nah.
No, it's unbelievable. So, all right. Stay the F away from my coffee. Face green smiling, says Max Sony. See, this coffee is important to people. Very important. Andrew Huberman says a late morning coffee is best. Just 1 cup. First thing in the morning, we need a little bit of salt. Okay.
So this is this like a neurologist guy who's like but like I've heard a lot of people debunk his stuff. So like
Huberman?
Huberman, Andrew Huberman. He's like a neurologist. He's a doctor, but he also does podcasts.
I heard like 15 minutes of him on someone's podcast the other day, and I didn't find it very compelling.
Yeah,
that's just exactly. Maybe I'm not the right guy for this stuff because I'm not looking for self-help stuff. I know it's big all over the world. Some of the most popular podcasts are these self-help ones, but I just feel like a lot of very average people are doing their damnedest to be a little bit better than average, and they suck this stuff up like it's crystal meth, and it doesn't make them that much better. For example, I can think of 2 people who I know, they're not really friends of mine, but I know them, and they are like slaves to these self-help podcasts, and they fall for every trend, right? They go for the cold plunge first thing in the morning. They take like a tablespoon of salt or whatever it is. They do all of the stuff that people are talking about now in the comments, but then they haven't improved.
Yo, imagine going through all of that.
They're not better people. And I think to myself, wow, you're waking up at the time I have to wake up for work, but you don't have to. And you're getting into an ice cold, like literally a freezer filled with ice. I mean, some of them have the professional thing going where they've got like I don't know, 40, 50 grand tub in their house that they've paid for.
You couldn't pay me enough money to jump in a cold shower.
Dude, I wouldn't get in this pool until I know for a fact that it is the hottest day ever and it's 37 degrees in that water. These people are doing it and they're falling for it, and it's not doing anything for them. They don't look better. They don't seem to be more interesting than they were the day before. They have not become suddenly overnight like massive successes. I'm like, you're wasting your time. I hate to break it to you, but you are just dead average. And that's the truth for a lot of people.
And it's okay.
Sure, of course, we need average people. The world is reliant on average people. Who else is going to do the lawyering and accounting and stuff?
Yep.
Right? I say that as a former law student.
Yes.
Alcohol ruins many, many things. Self-control, sleep, health, relationships, reputations. I can go on. Sunri, it sounds like you had a bad relationship with alcohol. I mean, sure.
Yeah, you were using it for the wrong reasons.
I mean, sure. Right. And then you must listen to the Diary of a CEO podcast with Dr. Mindy. She really explains how we should eat while the sun is up and doing intermittent fasting and WHT. And I think that means what it does to your gut health. Well, this gut health thing is fascinating. Dude. Again, we had such an interesting conversation yesterday with 2 doctors who popped in to tell us about these
antimicrobials,
antimicrobial resistance, these huge problems they're having in hospitals, because these microbes are evolving so quickly against our antibiotics that we actually don't have a first line of defense anymore. And we're increasingly forced to use more and more dangerous chemicals and to try pharmaceuticals that have perhaps all kinds of other side effects, but we're desperate to just try and sort out the infection problem. And while we were talking to them, Bakh'abantu and I wish this had happened on the show, but we can still talk about it. So Dr. Fatima Patel says to us on the way out, well, one of the things that they've found that really works is what they call a fecal transplant.
Dude.
So sit comfortably, because we're about to tell you what this is.
So,
all right, in case you haven't had your breakfast this morning, you might want to hold off on that. Maybe you don't want any breakfast after you hear this.
Yeah, maybe you're looking at that coffee somewhat differently now.
So Dr. Patel says to us, oh, no. When you're trying to deal with like some of these severe infections, the best thing you can do is take like some human feces from one patient, make a smoothie out of it. I don't know what kind of device you would use, whether you just pop that in your NutriBullet. I don't know. To me, speaking about hygiene yesterday and just how generally unclean people are and drains, and this freaked me the hell out.
But Gareth, we need to remember this is this is feces from a healthy person.
Sure.
This person is
still, it doesn't make me want it anymore. And then what they do is they take this fecal smoothie and they put it in the large intestine of an unhealthy patient.
It's a transplant,
and it actually sorts them out, which is just mind-blowing. Who knew that all we needed
was feces,
was someone else's shit?
Yeah, just eat some shit.
Wow. I mean, you don't have to eat it. They put it in you, you know, like suppository or whatever. But how revolting and how clever at the same time.
It's so smart. But like, imagine that first person who pitched this.
Oh my God. Oh, and this is very important. Thank you. Tsanola says, did you see the Snoop Dogg no smoking thing is basically an ad for a smokeless fire pit? Because I saw, someone in, I think it was Josh, I think maybe sent this to me on Instagram yesterday. I almost crashed the car because I thought this whole Snoop thing had me so freaked out yesterday that he'd given up smoking weed. I was like, well, what is he going to do with the rest of his life? Dude? The last thing we need is like a Snoop Dogg going to gym and eating right and becoming one of these average, highly functional, you know, what are they called? Hugely, maximally efficient men. Like I'm just I'm not interested. Like, not for Snoop. Snoop is the guy who we want we want him to rap. We want him to smoke weed. We want him to make jokes. And we want him to look like Snoop. If he suddenly he must be thin and he must be like wiry and he must be wired and he must have like bloodshot eyes. The day Snoop looks healthy and he puts on muscle, then the world is gonna end. Talk about the end is nigh. So someone, thank God, broke the news to me yesterday. It was all just a ruse.
Sure.
He's not giving up weed. I don't care about weed, but I'm glad Snoop hasn't given up.
I don't care.
That would have been the biggest. Imagine how that would have been a sucker punch to the weed industry.
Yeah.
Oh,
a huge knock.
Yeah, I mean, like, people would have questioned the existence of the Almighty.
It's like I got this email about like the Mexico government launching an inquiry about you quitting tequila next year.
It would be weird, right? Well, I'm going to. I'm damn sure I'm going to do this, whether I like it or not. I might not know what to do. Here's the thing that worries me about it. Is I thought, because for me, I genuinely don't even really care about alcohol. It's not even the effect even. It's just something to do.
Yeah.
See, I don't dance. Sometimes you don't want to talk. There's loud music. What do? You like drink with your friends. And I just think, well, what am I going to do with my hands?
So like,
what do I do with my hands? What am I going to, should I sit there and draw the whole, like doodle? What am I going to do?
But do you think like now you're going to like retreat into your reclusiveness?
No, I don't think I'll become antisocial. I'll just have to learn to see. It was also, I will admit this, it used to be when I used to DJ. It was like I wouldn't say a coping mechanism, but it was a way to make other people more interesting. because what I would do is I would be drinking with them. So first of all, you connect with them on that
Yeah.
level. And these were people I didn't know very well. These are people I'd met for the first time, maybe. Oh, yeah, let's have a drink. And then because it was tequila, it made you feel like, they were much more interesting than they actually were. So I'm worried about getting bored. And I'm worried about not knowing what to do with my hands. So maybe I must take like plasticine and like make
or
like
just get a Rubik's cube and just like
a Rubik's cube.
Yeah, exactly. You'll solve one of those like by March. You're like,
All right, yeah, I'll solve. Listen, my nephew can do that Rubik's cube in like a minute and a half.
A minute,
and he's 9 years old.
I
looked at him and I'm like, that is such a great trick. I would have been using that to impress girls at school the whole fucking time.
He's 9, Gareth. Like,
I'm like blown away.
Like all those 9-year-olds, like
I like that. I would be using, and that would be like my party trick. I'd be like, here, make it as complicated as you want. Here we go. So that is a fun one, but I think it's super nerdy for someone at my age to be doing it.
Yeah.
Gotta find something else to do.
I don't know. Like, so I was convinced when we got a Rubik's Cube at home that if I solve this, like, it's gonna unlock the mind. It's gonna like beautiful mind. It's gonna open up my mind. I'm gonna be like some super genius. And I finished one and it was so underwhelming because I realized halfway through it that there's a pattern.
Yeah, exactly.
You just need to twist it and like just in one direction all the time.
There's a trick to it, but the people who know the trick, it's almost like these magicians.
Yeah.
And I put magicians in inverted commas because there's no such thing.
Yeah. Illusionists.
Yeah. They learn a trick or two and then that is what they do. And they use it to impress simple-minded people. And simple-minded people go, whoa, he pulled a rabbit out of the hat. He sawed that woman in half.
Well, he did.
In a world of CGI and artificial intelligence, and telescopes that can see further than our solar system, and microscopes that can see to the size of an atom, people are impressed with a man sawing a woman in half.
Yes,
in an illusion trick. I have to ask you, if you're a serious person, if you find a card trick exciting, but you don't think that a nebula in a nearby galaxy is mind-blowing, I have to question how thick you must be.
Yeah, but like you need to realize that the nebula was all created by NASA because the world is flat and there is no other planet.
Stop it.
So like
next thing you be telling me Putin is dead. I heard this rumor over the weekend. No, really, that Vladimir Putin died like 3 months ago.
So wait, what?
No, that's all I know. Okay, and whether that's true or not, we will find out. But yeah, this is what someone told me. Massive conspiracy theorists. I like having them in my life because they give me a reason to laugh.
Yeah.
But can you take them seriously? I should hope not. Gareth, you must listen to Gary Brecker, his human biologist. And he has a recent podcast with Joe Rogan as well. He's no doctor, but talks more sense. He tackles the whole over-medication thing. Yeah, Yonda, thank you. That's worth a listen. Morning team, says Timothy. Best way to treat toothache. I'm done removing. I'll end up like a Cape Townian. Well, go to the dentist. Yes. Don't ask us. Imagine, like, you're going to bring your car to Bakh'abantu and I to fix?
No,
what are we going to do?
You know this phenomenon, right? Like, a dentist once told me that people like going to a dentist that will tell them what they want to hear. Because no one wants to hear that your tooth is rotten, right?
You need a new tooth.
Yeah, exactly. So you go to the first dentist.
But they do fillings there and then. They put in implants. It's quick. These days, it's such a routine thing.
But there's something about the dentist and the drills. I don't know.
I hate it. Look, don't get me wrong.
It's programmed into our heads.
I know, and I sympathize with those people because I'm the same. I do not know. Those drills go, and I go on edge. I start sweating. It's the most horrible place you could possibly put me. But twice a year, you go for the cleaning or whatever.
Exactly.
Just look after your teeth. Here's a thing that someone told me who's very old. I got friends who are 20-something and I got friends who are 80-something. And one of the 80-something friends of mine said to me, just look after your teeth because that is a nightmare if you get old and you can't even enjoy food, can't chew, constantly in pain. So I'll tell you what, the only advice we have for you, Timothy, go to the dentist today.
Yes, it's as simple as that.
Go. All right. A lot of comments here about all kinds of things. Carla says, remember Flax's dad had to do that. He transplanted the whole family. He was tested to donate. Yes. In fact, I do remember Flax's dad had a fecal transplant.
Now that you mentioned
he was very sick. Yeah, it happens. Snoop is switching to edibles. Said he's giving up on the smoke. Well, I wouldn't believe that. Let's wait and see. I think he's advertising some new product. That's what I think it is.
Well, I stumbled onto this. So my friend has this entire Shein thing, right? I just thought about
what?
This. Like, you know what Shein is?
Shein, is that because some people pronounce it shine?
Yeah, but I think it's Shein. I don't know.
Okay, so hang on, because this is also something I found out about on this trip. I didn't know this existed. Shein, Shein, or Shine, is a website to buy clothes on.
Yeah, from China.
And apparently this is the place to go because you get all the clothes you could possibly want. They're cheap as chips. They deliver them to you. You don't need to. I mean, what a dream. We talk about not caring about what you wear.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the place to buy the stuff.
Right. This place is like, so my friend is.
We're not advertising for them because I don't even know who runs the thing.
Exactly.
Might be run by a sweatshop in Macau for all we know.
That's what my friend found out. So he's on this entire thing about like, so we have these woke girls like in our friend circle. So like all of them are like, oh, you guys like still like R. Kelly and whatnot. He's very bad.
All right.
He's a bad man.
He's been cancelled.
Yeah, we've cancelled.
R. Kelly's cancelled
Yes,
and Kanye's cancelled.
Yes. So he still likes Kanye. He still likes R. Kelly's music, hates R. Kelly. So he's like, nah, what's the difference between me listening to R. Kelly and you guys buying clothes from Shein? And the girls are like, wait, what do you mean about Shein? He's like, oh, you guys don't know. And he's like, come closer.
And he tells them about the sweatshops.
He's like, 5-year-old babies making this. He's like,
well, I don't doubt it.
So now
their little hands, sometimes the little stitches.
Like, this is why they're so pretty. He's like, these kids are really good. Right. So he just rags on them. So, but like, I ended up on this side and I found these weird ass stuff that you can buy there.
Oh, so you went and looked on this website?
Yes. So I took the plunge.
See, girls know all about this. I only found out about Shein or Shine.
Yeah,
but I don't know how you pronounce it.
I think it's Shein.
I don't know, dude.
But it's Chinese. It's Shine. Oh, I don't know. But
anyway,
all I know
what kind of stuff do you get? What the hell are those?
So these, Gareth, I present to you are finger condoms.
Finger condoms?
Yes. Like, you don't want your fingers to get dirty. Maybe you're eating chips or something. Just put on your finger condoms.
Kidding me. And they sell these?
They sell these.
How much?
Oh, come on. Everything there is cheap. Everything is cheap.
Like
I didn't put the price.
10 Rand a pack.
10 Rand a pack. Like you get like a 50 or something.
So
like,
finger condoms.
Finger
that's
condoms.
Interesting.
Exactly. Like in your club. Okay, no, that's a lot.
That's insane. All right. So finger condoms. I didn't even know you got those.
I thought this was cool though. So I found this.
A heart vase.
A heart vase.
That's pretty disturbing, though. I mean, it's actually it's
an actual heart.
That's very interesting. Yeah, it's not an actual heart. It's shaped like a heart.
I'm saying, but it's not the Cupid nonsense.
No, it's not that little, sad little heart-shaped thing. It's an actual heart shape.
And then this was the best one.
What the hell is this?
So like fanny packs are in, right?
Fanny packs that you sling in front of you.
Exactly.
You put your money in and your phone and all that stuff.
Now imagine it looks like a boop.
It does. It looks like a belly.
Yes.
A boop ends.
Yeah, exactly. Even got the head, everything.
Oh, that's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
Some guys don't need that. They've got the real one.
Now imagine bringing a girl home from the club and then like she takes off her socks and you find this.
Oh wow, she's got hooves or paws.
Paws. I don't know what that is, but all I know is, that can't be nice. Right? Can't be.
Okay,
right.
So let me explain to people who are not watching on YouTube. These are like stockings, come up to just under the knees, but on the foot, the actual the print on it makes it look like she's got like cat's paws, caracal paws. I don't know what you'd even call those.
I have no idea.
So you went and looked on the site to find the weirdest things you could find.
Yep, pretty much. But now this one I will buy for producer Ryan on his birthday next year.
Okay, what do we got?
It's a keychain of a chicken nugget.
What a horrible thing. What a horrible thing.
But I'm sure you like it.
But it's cheap enough. You see, if you're going to buy a gag gift, it's got to be cheap.
It's got to be cheap and
because you don't want to waste money.
The greatest punchline ever.
Yeah, because if it's a stupid, that's an ugly, hideous gift. A chicken nugget keyring is a terrible thing to give anyone. But if you're going to buy it and it's cheap, it's worth it.
Exactly.
Because the laugh.
The laugh is timeless, right?
There we go. All right. So this is a site to go to. I got to check out this site, though, because they do say that the the prices are really good.
Yeah, but
And
apparently
I don't care how many children have been working in the background with their little hands on those stitches.
they're not working hard enough.
In some factory in rural China. That's not my problem. It's not my child. It's not my. And frankly, you know what? The Chinese mustn't lecture us about capitalism when they themselves are the arch capitalists.
Bruh. So like,
How many children you got? Oh, about 5. Put them all into work in the factory. Okay, no problem. What do I get? You get about 1-2 renminbi each child per hour.
But like, there's this thing, right? What do you call it? Like, what Alibaba also like? It's also just crazy. You can buy electronics and stuff. Just ridiculous.
Right.
Like you get like a PlayStation 5. It's knockoff. It won't work.
Sure.
But you can get it for like $100.
I always have to say Sheen, Shine, Shane when I talk about that site, says B.
Yeah, you end up saying that one, man. We all know what it is.
Why are we only finding out about this now? Because I didn't know about this site until this last 2 months.
No, I found this from my sisters because like she once called me. She's like, "Oh, can you please pay for my customs?" I'm like, "Customs?" She's like, "No, I ordered clothes. Customs?" I'm still like, "Yeah, from Takealot. No, from Shein."
But how so they deliver it to a post box?
Yeah,
because your post office won't get it to you. You're screwed.
Well,
it's got to go by courier,
yeah,
right?
It goes through Postnets and whatnot. Like,
oh boy,
basically, like, but you have to pay customs. It's like, so the clothes are cheap, but customs, that's where they get you. So it's better to buy in bulk. But what I found out from my sister is that for guys, it's very unreliable because the sizes are off, right? Because Chinese people are tiny.
Okay, so you have to order bigger than normal.
Yeah, you're like, so if you're a medium, you're a Chinese large.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's useful information. Apparently, Mel says this is disgusting. You use finger condoms to extract pimples and blackheads.
I don't know.
How gross.
Oh, this is nice. Virus.
What does he say?
It's pronounced
Sheen.
He still doesn't know. That's how it's written.
Nobody knows how it's. Although Basitsana says it's pronounced Shein. Okay. I don't know. You guys are 2 years behind. You see, Yonder knows this. Sure. 2 years behind. Shein is the Chinese superbalist. Most of the influencers and girls always buy their RSA. Government actually had a memorandum to stop it early this year for anti-dumping. God damn. How come I only found out about this now? I feel so out of it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't understand people's fascination with this kachelkak. China makes the biggest shit out of plastic and then we complain about the environment getting screwed. Well, people want to buy stupid stuff.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason they work is to have money to buy dumb things like a heart vase.
But what I learned, everyone wearing these NASA t-shirts, that's where they get them.
Oh, they're getting them from there?
They get them from there.
Oh, wow.
All these NASA t-shirts and all these like cool brands. Like, now I'm sure China's not paying a lick of royalties to NASA about that.
Okay, well, VB says that the prices are cheap. Custom charges on the order is a gamble.
Yeah.
Because I used to order some stuff from like the US or from Europe, and then the customs was more expensive.
Yeah.
The duties you had to pay to import the stuff via the post office. First of all, the post office is unreliable. So you got to get past that somehow. If somebody knows how to do that, please let me know. And then second of all, sometimes the customs, the duty would be more than the actual product. And then I just look at it and go,
you just leave it there.
I'm actually not going to take this.
A friend of mine,
not worth it.
A friend of mine got a bill. He's like, nah, I'm not going to pay that much.
Yeah. And I don't know what happens then. Do the post office just keep it?
Well, they do, right? They open these stuff.
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure like there's some guy wearing a WWE title that I ordered one day.
I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
Yeah.
They just keep it. All right. Very, very good. If anybody has suggestions here, let us know. Sharon says, my parcel's delivered to my house. I've not paid any customs.
That sounds like a crime.
That sounds awesome. No, good. We must circumvent this system wherever possible. We must not pay this government a single cent more than they deserve. And when you're buying something from China, it's got nothing to do with the South African government.
Well,
zero.
Xi Jinping and Cyril are pretty close.
I don't care. No one giving them any more money. Am I right?
Yeah.
Shine does door-to-door via a company called Buffalo. No post office. Duties are actually cheap. For 3,000 rands worth of clothes, you only pay 500 rand. Still, you have to be careful not to order above 1,400 and your customs add up to another 150. So people know this stuff. You see, people are on this. They know what's going on. It's just you and me that are stupid about this stuff.
Hey, Gareth, we choose what we want to. We know about ancient Rome and whatnot. Like, I know, choose your battles, guys.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been missing out here. If this is true, I'm never buying clothes at a local shop again. I could care less about the local textile industry. Sorry, guys, you're out of luck. I'm going for the cheap stuff.
What happened to buy local, Gareth?
Well, didn't we already say we don't care what we wear, and
Yeah,
guys
exactly.
don't even notice what other guys wear? So what's the point of worrying about it? Okay, let's turn our attention to actually important things. Africanalysis is our chance to catch up with JJ Cornish, and it's brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. We look at what happens around the continent, and he is on standby and ready to fill us in on all the important things. Bonjour, JJ. How are you?
Bonjour, I'm immensely well. I was glad to hear you talking about the dentist.
Yes.
I went just yesterday to the dentist, sat in his comfortable chair,
Yes.
leaned over, and I grabbed him by the testicles and said, "We're not going to hurt each other today, are we?" No, that part's not true. But he did say to me, "Your teeth are perfect, but your gums have to come out."
JJ, that's horrible. But I do like your strategy. I like your strategy for keeping the dentist from hurting you. That's very clever.
I think so.
I have a lady dentist, so I don't think that will work.
Yeah, but I'll come up with something and mail you. Huh?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, and then I will reward you with some cheap Chinese clothing that I'll get imported for you. All right, so JJ, let's just talk quickly about some of the things that are happening at the moment, because there's another week and a pile of new information about a country that we haven't discussed for some time, Liberia. And well done to them. A seamless change of power in Liberia after a closely fought election. This is truly worth celebrating, because we have few and far between of these in our continent of Africa recently. Liberia, peaceful transition of power, which is more than we can say for America, when Joe Biden and Donald Trump went up against each other the last time.
Yeah, and I mean, how many times have the American elections? I mean, I've been lectured to by Americans on this is how to do it, but then again, they screw it up very badly towards the end. Well, Joseph Boakai, who's 78 years old now, he beats George Weah, the former soccer star. I don't know if you call a former soccer star former. I think he was a soccer star and remains.
Yeah, he was.
Nevertheless, Boakai, he got 50.9%, and Weah got 49.1%. There were 28,000 votes separating the two of them. So there's plenty of room for a dispute there. But Weah said, "I am putting the national interest ahead of personal interest." Congratulations to you, Joseph. He beat him, by the way, in the first elections in the last time round. But he beat him he got something like 65%. But it seems the people are very disappointed in him. And there's things like electricity cuts. Oh, who could ever live with that? No wonder they want to change the government. And potholed roads. I mean, can you imagine living in a country with potholes in your roads? I can't. I mean, absolutely unspeakably awful. Apparently, the road from the airport home into the capital is filled with potholes. These poor guys, how do they manage? I simply can't imagine. But anyway, are we going to throw out our government for that? I wonder. But it's an interesting turnaround.
JJ, I mean, it's cool that the guy who conceded the election and did the right thing is a footballer. Maybe that's the key, is that we need more footballers in politics.
Yeah. Well, if I go into politics, I'm going to go like a cricketer. In other words, I'm going to wear a cricket protector at all times, because you can't trust it. When you get up close and personal with these politicians, they play dirty. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
For sure.
But I mean, but basically, the things he promised, he never delivered on. Now, I've never heard of that either with politicians. So they have poverty, they have unemployment, they have food insecurity. No wonder George Weah went. I mean, if politicians behaved like that, none would stay in office. I'm absolutely sure of that.
All right, let's talk about the DRC, because they are about to start their month-long election campaign in a climate of political uncertainty. No, not in the DRC. Political uncertainty can't be.
Well, in the East, Felix Tshisekedi, running. I mean, they're actually going to change the peacekeeping force there now. I'm sure they're going to keep them there till after the elections, which are on the 20th of December. I don't know why they have them so close to Christmas. I've been there as an election observer, and then trying to get onto a plane to get home for Christmas is an absolute nightmare.
Maybe they actively want to do it at a time where people are at home. I don't know. Maybe that's it. But who is this guy you spoke about? Because you seem to think we all know who he is in the east of the DRC.
Well, no, Felix Tshisekedi is the president.
Felix. Sorry,
we
had no idea who Felix was. Sorry.
Well, you said, oh, Felix, like something you know him. Like, Felix.
You say it like he's your friend from varsity or something. We had no idea who you're talking about.
Well, I must tell you that if he loses the election, I'm probably going to invite him home for Christmas. So you can pop by and meet Felix if you'd like to. But yes, he's asking for another. He's asking for another mandate, and there are 26 candidates. The opposition, no fools, they say, how can we have, we're just dispersing. And this is what happens all over Africa, too many candidates. So 5 of the top opposition groups were in South Africa. They met here last week to create a single candidate. And that's the best way they can of making Felix doesn't come and have turkey with me on the 25th of December. But
is he likely to win again?
It looks like it. He seems, yes, he looks like he's going to win it. But the problem, of course, in the east of the country, that is where they have the violence, in Ituri and in North Kivu and those areas, which is where I always go when I go as an observer. Very, very interesting part of the world, but a very troubled one.
Yeah, I'm a little bit jealous of you going to all these far-flung places, because these definitely aren't on the usual tourist menu, and it seems to me that when you've gone to a place like the Eastern DRC, you really get a good idea of what's happening in the world. It's not one of those places that, there's terribly much first-hand information coming from.
It's chocolate box beautiful, but people just don't want to be there. Lake Kivu is just fantastic, although it does have these huge clouds of methane gas that bubble up from the bottom. And if you happen to be on a fishing boat when this happens, that's the last time you take fish out of the water. They find whole boats full of people dead from the methane gas. Well, of course, the Rwandans have got Russian technology, and they're trying to harvest this methane gas. It's a very interesting plant they have there, and going to sell it. But really, Kivu is just such a beautiful city, and I love going there, but as I say, it's very, very difficult around there, and certainly the East African community moved troops in to try and calm things down. They haven't worked with this group called M23, the rebel group. So now we're going to have SADC. They just signed a deal on that one, to SADC troops going in, and then MONUSCO, which has been there since the 90s, they're going to move out. But as I say, I think they're going to keep them there until after the elections on the 20th of December.
JJ, what about Kenya? Because President William Ruto is going to Germany to get jobs for Kenyans. How does that work?
Well, if you're professional, skilled, or semi-skilled, you could be one of 250,000 Kenyans who get jobs in Germany. Currently, in Berlin, they have the Compact with Africa Summit. Now, that's the G20, the world's richest countries, and Africa meeting there. And that compact, the G20 is offering $4.5 billion to boost clean energy in Africa. And Olaf Scholz, the Chancellor, fronts that one with a big smile on his face, giving handing out clean energy to the Africans. But very interesting that William Ruto has been promised this. It was back in May that they spoke about it. Now he's gone to see if the Germans will deliver on that. But, what do? Send 250,000 of your most skilled people out of an African country into the West? No. Germany, most of these countries that complain about getting migrants need them desperately for their economies to run. I can remember in the 70s, the Germans resisting fiercely the onslaught of Turkish migrants. Well, it's widely recognized now that unless they had a substantial body of Turkish migrants in Germany, the economy just wouldn't turn over. So suddenly the Turks are fine, but they still do resist the migrants coming over on the Mediterranean,
Well,
and that
I
way.
mean, isn't this why in Berlin the most popular dish is doner kebab, right?
I'm
It
not
is.
surprised. What a
Yeah.
city Berlin is. What a city. I just love going there. It really, when you go there, you feel you're at the beating heart of Europe, and very fascinating place to be. I mean, I've been there during the Cold War time to have those cold-eyed East Germans looking at you like, whoa, 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 or looking at you like you're about to get on an El Al flight or something. But
sounds like an Elton John song.
yeah.
All right. Okay. So what else do we need to know? Because we haven't for a long while done one of your deep dives into one of the African countries. I'm very interested in South Sudan. And Pumi, who does the show with me on a Thursday morning, she said she's got a friend who's in South Sudan. We've got a listener who's in the South Sudan, and I also know someone who's over there at the moment. Seems like it's all the rage right now. Why would that be?
Well, it's the youngest African country. It's, of course,
Mm.
Sudan, once the biggest country in Africa, broke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not supposed to be able to do that in terms of the African scheme of things. You can't break from your colonial boundaries, because if you did, I mean, the whole continent would be in an absolute mess. But because of the length and bloodiness of the civil war there, the African Union decided, okay, let them split. And that also was along the Arab and African line. So the majority of people, Salva Kiir, who runs South Sudan, he's an African, and they have political troubles. Virtually from their birth, they've had problems. Now, I don't know what the people are doing there, but I don't imagine they're there on tourism. They probably aid or development people or something like that, because that is what South Sudan desperately needs. And they have problems with rebel groups from Uganda. And so the neighbors, of course, whenever there is a problem, the South Sudanese have to move into the neighboring states who can't accommodate them. And now those poor neighboring states are having to take refugees from Sudan itself. And of course, that situation in Sudan, particularly in Darfur, is not looking very bright. So if you ask me, would you like to go to South Sudan? I would ask you a million questions about exactly where and what my exit strategy would be, or what your strategy would be to get me out of there pretty quickly.
Okay, so in other words, not, again, just like East DRC, not necessarily a tourist trap, not the kind of place that you would rush to as a tourist.
I would say, don't take your thongs and your, neat little, Louis Vuitton backpack with you. I think you might need something a little more heavyweight than that.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. You're the only person who's been able to say Louis Vuitton properly, because most of the people pronounce it horrendously.
It's Louis Vuitton. Chief.
Louis Vuitton.
It's Vuitton.
And you said something interesting, JJ, about the president of South Sudan. You said he's an African, and I just want you to explain, because there's an ethnic component to that part of the world, which makes the divisions that much more glaring. There's a religious component, there's an ethnic component. Just explain that, because I don't think a lot of people entirely understand it.
Well, essentially, Sudan is majority, but only just majority Arab. Yes. Now, when you say this, and the problem, and Darfur, for example, is majority African. Now, when you say this to them, they get very angry. They say there's no difference. We're all Sudanese. But the fact is, if you want to be a Sudanese, better choose to be an Arab. You'll get a better break. I suppose it's like being Swiss. If you want to be Swiss, then be German Swiss. Don't be Italian Swiss, because you'll have a better life as a German Swiss. And these are just realities, ethnic realities in any country. But there are in spades in Sudan. Maybe I could have phrased that better, but nevertheless.
Yeah, I think it's these are the curiosities that like, for example, whenever I'm talking to people about the Balkans, it's easy to explain to them that the difference between a Croat and a Serb and a Montenegrin and a Bosnian is usually about their religious inclinations more than anything else. It's important to know this stuff, so that when you meet someone from South Sudan, you can then have these conversations and they can actually go somewhere rather than you just sitting there going, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, the whole time until you're bored.
Yeah. Well, look, and Sudan, terribly interesting country. And of course, with South Sudan has the oil. But to get the oil out, they have to go through Sudan to go to the terminal at Port Sudan. And that is a huge problem. Now, there are countries saying, well, let us build you a pipeline out of South Sudan somewhere else. But when you look at the geography, that's not easy. There is a pipeline being built around Lake Victoria, the largest freshwater lake in the world. There's a pipeline being built around Lake Victoria from South Sudan onto the east coast of Africa. I've got a friend who's actually busy working on it. But, so until they do that, they can't be completely independent of Sudan. And they want that independence from Sudan. They didn't fight a bloody civil war, just because they didn't like them as neighbors, or they wanted to throw them off their WhatsApp group or something. It's quite serious, the problem between the two of them. And so Sudan has grown up developmental problems, but problems within itself in terms of civil war and so on. So one prays for Sudan, or South Sudan, as the youngest African country, but it needs quite a bit of praying, I have to tell you that.
So, JJ, just one last thing, because we hardly ever have time with you. It usually feels like it just flies by. Which African country would you most like to get a free ticket to visit right now, and which one would you least like to get a free ticket to visit right now?
I know an answer to this one. He hates Morocco.
You wouldn't want to go to Morocco, huh?
I love Morocco. I love Moroccans, but the Moroccan government hate my guts.
Yeah.
And they've been kind enough to call me l'assassin de plume, the assassin with the pen, which I'm having made into a T-shirt. And I'm going to sell that through Shein, the assassin of the pen. I'll certainly make more money than writing about Morocco. So I think that has to be the country I'd least like to go to, because if I did, I would end up on toll, behind bars.
Yes.
But countries that I would like to go to, I love Tunisia, and I quite like Algeria too. But they have their troubles. And then around, certainly Mauritius. Anybody would want to go to Mauritius, the most developed African country. And I also absolutely adore Madagascar, although they're having real trouble at the moment with their election. And apparently it's gone backwards quite substantially since I was last there, when I was there as an election observer the previous election.
What's gone wrong there? Because for a while they were a little bit more stable. What happened?
Well, they've been run by a DJ. Andre Rajolina is, in fact, he's a very bad dude. He threw out and he's a DJ. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Young guy, full of rock and roll, but not a clue on how to run the country. I remember coming and flying away from where I was the election observer. And this woman on the plane with me said, are you aware of she was a development worker, and said, are you aware of the plague in the south? I said, actually not. I've come as an election observer. Where? And, I then started following plague. They have plague, a plague every year. So, So, I mean, the thing about it is, if you are in Madagascar, my best advice is don't keep any pet rats.
Well,
don't they have lemurs in them?
Can I tell you something? That's good advice all round. Don't keep pet rats. I'm going to put that into the.
I'll put that on a T-shirt and sell it on Shein.
Well, I have a T-shirt made with that.
There we go. That's the plan.
All right, don't take any wooden nickels. Don't keep any pet rats. Yeah.
Very good. A joking atheist says the only African country I want to visit is Wakanda. There's no such place. I'm sorry to break it to you. All right. Thanks very much, JJ. Lovely to see you. And thank you for all your useful information this morning. We'll catch up with you in a couple of days' time.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. JJ Cornish and the Johannesburg Business School, bringing you African analysis every Tuesday, every 2 weeks on cliffcentral.com.
Like JJ was talking about like this pipeline and trying to reach a harbor, made me think about our harbor. We can't port ships in South Africa.
No. This came up yesterday. I was talking to Tony Leon, the former leader of the opposition, who was in Joburg for a short while. He was telling me that something like 71,000 containers are currently waiting to either be able to be unloaded or loaded in Cape Town and Durban Harbour. We have huge problems.
Yeah.
So if you have ordered something from
Shein, it's probably
it's not coming. Forget it. It's on some ship that's stranded outside the harbour.
Sure.
How irritating is
like
that?
We have it there, and you know what's going to be worse, right? Because they have to load it on a truck because our rail system doesn't work.
So then the roads are going to be a mess.
And it's December, and we're all
don't
on
worry.
the road.
But don't worry. Votela EANC.
Yes, vote for change. Yeah.
By the way, I did see there was a lot of interesting stuff about the registrations this weekend.
Yeah.
I wonder if you'd be curious to know about this. I got from somebody who's paying attention to this stuff, a guy called Davy Skoltz, who's probably our best election analyst in the country. He said, here's my hypothesis. This is what he said on social media yesterday, so it's no secret. He says, pattern of new registrations slanting heavily towards white suburban and urban areas in general. We'll look into it once we get the detailed numbers. But he said that's bad news for the ANC. Went on to say, apparently there were 570,000 new registrations.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But he says it's a weak number.
It is a weak number, seeing that like how many people were not registered before, right? And we had like a huge influx of new new voters into the system.
It's the first weekend of new registrations. Apparently in 2019, there were 660,000 of these. 2021, 520,000. And in 2022, 570,000.
So in a country, I think we're a country of like 60 million plus.
Yeah.
You know what the voter roll is? 26.8 mil. 26.8 mil.
Yeah. So
that's less than half.
In other words, we have all our work ahead of us.
Yes.
Anyway, that's the useful information for this morning. We're going to talk to Jen Sue. I love Jen Sue. We haven't caught up with her in such a long time, and she's got lots to tell us. She's been so busy, and she's going to be joining us live on the show this morning from the US, where it must be either very early in the morning or very late at night.
It's like 11.
I'm so pleased to speak.
I'm sure it's like
Jen.
5 to midnight that side.
So we'll catch up with the great Jen Sue next. Don't go anywhere. CliffCentral.com on a Tuesday.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
So I don't know if you've noticed on the news, there's been a lot of stories and a lot of conversation around repossessions recently. So I was having a conversation.
Well, it doesn't surprise me in the economic times we find ourselves in. You know, it's very difficult to swallow the interest rate increases that we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gone from, I think it's 7.5% or something.
Yeah. I think seeing like 8.7?
Yeah, 8.8, but maybe mid 8%.
Yeah.
To what now, 11.75?
Yeah.
That's been the rise. Now, if you think about that in terms of the repayment on a car, that's huge.
I think people are paying on average about 2,000 Rand more. I saw an article about it.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Yes, indeed. Tuesday morning, cliffcentral.com. Now, unless you've been living in a cave for the last couple of years, you don't know who Jen Su is, let me help you. She is not only one of our favorite radio and TV personalities, she's also a singer. She's known in multiple countries. You will see her on the red carpet at every cool event that is worth going to, and she's currently in the USA. Today, we're going to do a little catch up and find out what celebs she's been hanging out with, because she's always hanging out with important people. And we're going to delve a little bit into her own story and stuff that you might not know about. So here she is, the great Jen Su. Look at her. Hello,
Hey,
Jen.
oh my gosh, I can't believe it. You guys look amazing. Can you
So nice to
believe
see
it?
you.
It's good to
How are
see
you?
too. I'm a little bit scared of looking myself. It's midnight right now in the States, so you know.
Well, I mean, this is also why I love you, is you'll wake up and you'll stay up until God knows what time to talk to us live. It's just the best thing, because I would hate to record this and then play it out and not do it live. It's much better to
I
have you
know.
on.
I love it. I want to sit on a pillow so I can be up a little higher. I'm now I couldn't see what the lighting was like, when you're backstage,
You
and
look
now I
great.
can see it. Oh my goodness,
You
it's a
look
little
good.
bit. I
You look
like
great.
as great as one can look at midnight. But look, I just think about the first time that we met at the SABC a long time ago, before 5FM. I
Yeah.
walked in and you said, "Oh, you Americans are always so prepared." And I had my show reel with me. I had all
You
my
did.
photos. Yeah. And you said, "That's the thing. You guys are ready for, to be on air at any given moment." And I said, "Exactly. So when are we going on air?" And you're like, "Tomorrow."
Exactly. Well, I mean, this is why I will always have you on the show, and you've always got something to say, and you always bring us useful information. You know lots of people, but let's just start with the most recent thing, because I saw this and I thought, wow, look at Jen Su hanging out with Meghan Markle, who, I mean, okay, let's face it, she's persona non grata in England at the moment, and I don't think she's even persona anything in Hollywood at the moment, because all of her deals have been cancelled. No one really wants to hear a sob story about her and Harry anymore. But you bumped into her and you hung out with her and her friends for a whole night. What happened there?
It was crazy because now I can see what she has to deal with, on a daily basis. It really is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I got markled. They call it, you got markled. I got markled.
What
So,
happened?
which means, we post. First of all, she doesn't take selfies with anybody. She doesn't take photos with anybody. And she has been particularly worried because of her image and, with all the bad press she gets, she doesn't want to take a photo with anyone. So
Yeah.
actually, when we chatted, I mean, she was just
Except
wonderful.
Jen Su.
Yeah,
Except
she
Jen
was
Su.
actually really cool with me. And I met Prince Harry a long time ago, actually in Johannesburg at
Yeah.
Summer Place. And then, meeting Meghan years later, it was really great. All I can say is we were in the parking lot of the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is
Okay.
the celebrity central. So if you guys want to hang out in LA and you want a celeb spot, where you need to go is the Beverly Hills Hotel, but you need to chalk it up and at least stay one night there so that they get to know you. You're on that list of people that are staying in the hotel so they don't give you problems. And you need to hang out in the lobby and you will see everybody coming in and out. I can't tell you the number of celebs it was celeb central. So anyway, we're going out to dinner. We're waiting for the hotel car. And just Megan standing right there and just hanging out. I mean, I think she really wanted to chat to us, and it was nice because I was with 2 girlfriends. So sometimes when you're one-on-one, you're never really
Oh,
sure.
so hang on.
When it's 3 girls, it was a girls' night out.
So those were your friends, not her friends.
They were my friends. Yes.
Oh, okay. And then what, does she just sidle up to you like, please, I need some friends. Can I join you guys?
Well, I don't know. She and I just we locked eyes, and she and I just started chatting. I think she probably saw me on a press line at some point because I've covered her a lot for many
Right.
events, but we've not really like spoken like that one-on-one together. So maybe that was one of the things. And
Okay.
anyway, we chatted for a while, and then we asked to take a selfie, and she's like, "Sure." So we did it. I just
She
thought
never,
nothing of it.
she never does that. She must really.
She
like
never
you.
does that. She never does. And I didn't realize that because if I had,
You might not have asked.
well, later people said, "Did you sell that photo? You know how much money you could have gotten for that photo?" Right? If I really thought about this, I could have like made millions from this, but no, I just put it on Instagram. It's like, you and I, Gareth, if we do a selfie together and I put it on Instagram, like, right?
Oh my God. No, well, Jen, you were before even social media was a thing. You were the best at putting your photos everywhere. You just
I
knew what to
was.
do.
I
Okay,
was
so
crazy. So anyway, went all over. It was like 30, 60 articles were spawned from that. I was in Vanity Fair, People Magazine,
oh,
Daily Mail. It was everywhere. And
so people are still
crazy.
people are still very interested in Meghan Markle, huh?
They are. And then, what happens is you tweet that selfie and instantly you start getting so much hate. Oh, did you sell that photo? How much did you sell? You sold her out. You were planted there as PR. Yeah, you're the person that she planted, to write the press release and send it out to all the magazines and everything. So that's what it becomes. And then it's like, I mean, there was a point where they
Unbelievable.
even named my husband and what, he was
What?
doing and where we live and what high school I went to. That's how the thread went. That's, Black Twitter or
so-
whatever. It's
so-
when you get markled, that's what happens. So literally, I was like, what? I was like, please, like, let's take the family out of here.
That's insane. So these people are maniacs. They obviously are. Yeah, these are very dangerous people because they just don't seem to have any idea of what is and isn't acceptable online. And if they hate Meghan, they behave a certain way. If they love her, they behave a certain way. But they all seem to be obsessed and dangerously so.
But that's what it's become. I mean, what do you think, Gareth? For you, what's been the worst, that you've had? How much?
No, it sounds like
the
you just
hate
had
that you've
worse.
gotten hate. We've all gotten
No,
hate.
but nothing like them publishing, stuff about family and stuff. I would be furious with people if they did that. In fact, I think they crossed the line with you there. That's not cool. Publishing your kids' stuff and saying what your husband does and where you live, and what, because you had a picture with someone who married a prince.
And exactly, is that crazy? And then they were like, she's not an entertainment reporter. Where does she actually like work, live, or anything anyway? It was crazy.
And you got as much
became-
shit from the Meghan fans as you did from the haters, right?
Yes, it was unbelievable. And then, and then
Insane.
every publication wanted to interview me. But the reason they did was, of course, they wanted to know, well, what did you say to Meghan? What was she wearing? What was she doing? What perfume did she wear?
You know
I
what you
even
should
got
have
that
done?
question.
You know what you should have done, Jen? You should have told them she was rummaging around in the trash back of the Beverly Hills. You should have said to them, "Oh no, I caught her at the dumpster. She was busy trying to find something to eat." You would have been the most famous woman in America for about 15
I know.
minutes.
I should have done it. And I even had that. That was literally my 5 minutes of fame I could have had there.
I know. All right, so let's just talk, because that isn't your 5 minutes of fame. You've been famous
Oh
for a
my
long
God.
time. So just in case people don't know this, but Jen actually won Taiwan Idol
Yes.
back in the day. She worked for a news business, and I mean, we've laughed about this many times, that you've pretty much done all the things in the media that you could do. So let's start off with, well, you were born in the US.
Yes, outside of Philadelphia.
And I used to tease you. I said that your parents were the last people out of Kowloon on a sampan, but that's not true.
But that's pretty close actually, because my mother was on the last boat out of
Yeah.
China before the communists came. So it was pretty
Right.
close actually. And they went to Nebraska. My parents were married in Lincoln, Nebraska. And then my dad went to Harvard postdoc. They were living in Massachusetts. And then because of work, he came out to Philadelphia. So there you go.
And you've pretty much been in Philly most of the time since you left South Africa, but you've been all over the world, and you worked in Asia for a long time.
Yes.
You were based in Shanghai for a little bit, but tell us about all the things that you did while you were there, because you really did get around and you did see a lot of things and do a lot of things and met a lot of people and did a lot of very impressive jobs.
Well, I guess the main thing is, I'm married to a global expatriate. So basically, when your husband is moving from place to place all over the world, you got to go, and you have to go at a moment's notice. So, it wasn't my schedule, but it was his. So every time things were going great for me, it was time to move countries. And after winning the Taiwan Idol competition, which was called Wu Dengjiang, I then moved to Thailand. And in Bangkok, which actually speaks Thai, a completely different language, I got onto TV there and was also very fortunate to get on as a news anchor. And it was a station starting up. They needed an English anchor. And then at the same time, I joined this singing group. And the leader of the singing group was very close with the royal family of Thailand. So they basically appointed me as one of the backup singers for Her Majesty the Queen, and also for Her Royal Highness the Princess. And I was one of the vocal coaches for her Chinese and English portions of, like, she was doing a Chinese album and an English album. So I was helping her with those things. And then I was singing late night for the royal family in Thailand. And they go late night, like 12 midnight is when they're like basically getting started. And they go on all night. It's so crazy.
Just
Secrets of the royal family again. But this is the Thai royal family.
What are they singing, doing karaoke? What are they doing?
Yeah. So we are singing for them. They're not really singing, but it's all the songs that they request.
Wow.
And then, sometimes they do. They also get up and sing. So it just depends. And then they have a huge feast. And I mean, it's just a whole protocol. You have to speak a certain language, which we call Rachasap in Thai, which is a royal language. But of course, for me, because I mean, you learn royal language in school, but because of course I learned Thai a lot later in life, I speak fluently, but not Rachasap, not the royal Thai. So anyway, you have to request to speak in English to them. In any case, when we're singing and performing, we're not speaking to them anyway. And there's only like one designated spokesperson who is actually going to speak. We're like subjects. We're like peons. We don't speak. We just sing.
Yeah, you just shut up and sing for the king.
Yes.
Get on with it. Now, interestingly enough, isn't that do you remember that musical, The King and I?
Yeah.
King of Siam was the king of Thailand.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It's the same. It's the same people, right? It's the same royal family.
Yes and no.
No?
Well, I don't want to get into it too much because there's certain things in royal protocol that I'm afraid to say.
All right, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to say these are sensitive topics.
Yeah, because that king will come and knock on your door and say, you know what, you're not singing for us ever again.
Correct.
Yeah, don't need that. We
You'd
don't
be
need that.
surprised. You have to really follow protocol all the time. But then, so after Thailand, I moved to Hong Kong and worked for Star News Asia and also RTHK, which is Radio Television Hong Kong. And then that's when I had my chance, to marry Rupert Murdoch. He came in. Remember? I mean, this was crazy. So
this is so close. Just explain to everybody. He ran that business, and he came over there and he met his wife, who he's now
Wendy
divorced
Deng.
from.
Yes, that was his then wife. And I was supposed to be at that reception.
She was your biggest competition in.
Yes, she was my colleague. Right. I mean, we were basically equals.
Yeah.
It's like Trevor Noah and I. We used to go on the party scene all together, but look at Trevor Noah now and look at me.
You know what, Jen? You really got the hind tit on all of this. But okay. So, so then,
So yeah.
then you,
Anyway, Rupert Murdoch, he married Wendy Deng.
yeah,
I still stayed in the newsroom covering silly stories like anti-smoking legislation.
yeah. Yeah, well,
All
she
that
was getting
thrilling,
married
and
to a
she
billionaire.
correct.
Yeah, could
So
have been you.
it could have been me, but there you go.
But I was selfishly quite happy about that because it wasn't long after that you guys moved to South Africa and you came
Yes.
to visit us and we had a meeting and I said, oh, why don't you just do all the Hollywood stuff on our show? And you were like, oh, I could do that. You could do that with my eyes closed, and you did. And before long, Jen Sue was like on the invitation list for every important thing in South Africa. She knew everybody. It took her about a year, and she was suddenly in with all the most important people in the country. She knew all the politicians, the football stars, the celebrities, the TV personalities, the singers, and everybody knows Jen. I mean, even to this day, you've got very good relationships with so many South Africans, right?
I do. And I just saw Sia Kolisi last week
Yeah.
in New York. And actually, it's been really wonderful having these connections in South Africa, because now that I'm in New York, or in LA, or anywhere in Europe, I constantly meet so many people that I know from back home. So it's wonderful to see everybody out here. And Sia and Rachel came out with the Kolisi Foundation. It's only been established for about 3 years. So this was actually their first fundraising event in New York City, which they really did just so well. I think what I love about Sia is he really does speak from the heart. He is so authentic, as
Yeah.
big of a superstar that he has become. He's really every bit authentic in every way. And what they did was they had him at the New York Athletic Club Hall of Fame. It was a very exclusive reception for only 100 people. It was sold out immediately. They were like testing the waters. I'm like, it's Sia Kolisi. I mean, God, the guy's world famous. Like those tickets,
Oh,
100 tickets were
he's
gone in 2 seconds.
he's the most famous South African in the world right now, for sure, right?
I
But like in
know, but that's
America,
what I
right?
mean. They're so humble. They're kind of like, well, we're just testing the waters. So we just decided maybe 100 people. Of course, 100
Wow.
tickets went in 2 seconds. Everybody was asking me, can I get a ticket? Help me. Can I can I sneak in your camera bag or something? I wish I
Wow.
could,
Let me show some pictures of this because you sent us some
yeah,
pictures. You sent us a bunch of pictures. I must actually just, as you're talking, show some of these off.
yeah.
So there's Jen with Sia Kolisi. This is now recently, right?
It was last week.
Okay, so
And
let's look at this. Here's
I had
you
an
at
article
Fox
yesterday in the Sunday
29.
Times as well with that. And this is
What's
on Fox 29. So I do some commentary for them, similar to the
yeah,
way I do your Hollywood Report.
right.
I do also commentary with Fox 29 on fashion, style, red carpet. And these guys are so great. That's Alex Holly, Mike Jarek, and Karen Hebb. They are just wonderful. They are so fun. It's just
Are they
such a
based
fun
in
show.
Are they based
Philadelphia.
in Philly? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And then this is something you did with Business Day TV back in the day,
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, I was with Business Day TV for almost 8 years, really, and Business Day was a sister channel of Sky News, the African Business
Hmm.
Report. So on Sky, I would be on like 4 times every morning, doing the financial markets in South Africa and African markets and currencies. So we did
Right.
that actually from Business Day TV. And that was really my main sort of job as well, and I really loved it. I do love anchoring, and I would love to get into it again here in the U.S. But sometimes, anchoring in the U.S. still entails a lot of getting out there and reporting as well, and doing every murder, shooting, and
Mm,
carjacking that's happening at 3 a.m. And I just unfortunately don't have the energy for it right now. But maybe one day, we'll see.
right. Okay, so let's just talk about some of the other things that you've been up to recently because there's some nice pictures. Oh, here's you with Bonang. When was this?
Yes, this was actually at a global gift gala in London. But
Hmm,
we've seen each other in New York a few times. Bonang, I'm so proud of her. She's done so incredibly well. She had that launch recently with Steve Madden. She just really
Oh,
knows how to promote her brand everywhere, worldwide. And, that's another person who's so much in the public eye. She doesn't let the negativity or, the haters get to her. She just keeps focused and keeps moving forward. And she's done so, so well. I'm incredibly proud of her. And it's also great because in
She looks
London,
so great in this picture.
we've had
Wow.
a chance to really just get together and, and also talk. And sometimes the one nice thing about South Africans when they're outside of South Africa is they feel just a little bit less inhibited because obviously they're not so in the public eye as much as they would normally be. And, I've been able to have just some really, really genuine and wonderful conversations with a lot of people who probably back in SA I wouldn't be able to.
Well, yeah, they probably let their guard down a little bit. Here's Jason Goliath with you. Where was this?
So that was on his set of his show, the Goliath Show. He's also doing incredible things. I love
He's
Jason.
great.
And he's wearing my hat there. That's my hamburger hat that he stole off my head. But we were kind of trading books there.
He was here with us the other day. And then this is you with Samuel L. Jackson. That's very cool.
Yes, I love Samuel L. Jackson, and I gave him a hat. He always wears Kangles. That one is a Kangle, but that's not the one I gave him. I gave him another one when I interviewed him before at the Saxon Hotel when he came out to Joburg. So, and then seeing him again in LA, I've seen him in New York. I've seen Samuel L. Jackson quite a few times, and it's really fun to connect with people all over the world again.
You have a huge collection of hats.
I do. And remember, we did that whole, I was thinking, should I bring all the hats with me? But, then you wouldn't see me anymore because the hats would be covering all over the place.
Have you got one huge room in your house that's just full of hats?
I do, because there's so many of them and they are gigantic. And the problem with hats are that you can't crush them. So the hats need to be in boxes. They need to be in tissue paper. They're high maintenance, these things. So it's hard. I wish I could have collected earrings instead. Are you still doing the show where everyone's collecting all the stuff?
We haven't done a new series of it, but you were definitely a highlight with your hats. All right, so while we're showing off you and celebrities, because this is cool. I mean, for most people, if you're lucky in your life, you get one or two pictures with a celeb. Here's you with Neo, which is very
cool. Neo. And that was at 5FM.
Yeah, I remember that. He came in. I think I interviewed him. I can't remember.
Yes,
but
you did. You did. You interviewed lots of great people.
And then here's Paris Hilton with you on the cover of the Sunday Times.
Do you remember this? So that was my first appearance in the Sunday Times. Who knew that I would end up being a writer for the Sunday Times? But here you go. That was me on the front cover. That was, I'd just gotten to South Africa. And of course, I see Paris Hilton. I got to stalk her. This is it.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was there front and center. And what I love now is Paris and I see her many, many times all over different red carpets. And, she follows me on Instagram and we message each other. And then I see her and I've seen Nikki. And so, it's just wonderful to see her being a mom now with her beautiful baby.
And she's not, she remembers you every time?
Yeah, she does. She has an incredible memory, though. She knows her fans very well. She engages very well with her fans. And that's one thing, people can say all they want and try to criticize people. But if someone knows how to do it, it's Paris Hilton. She's really, really got it down. She just is so good at engaging with her fans. She's very genuine with them. She follows up with people. She knows how to pose. She knows, how to just be one-on-one and genuine with people. So
you didn't know Bakh'abantu, but you were going to get an intro to Paris Hilton. And then this is quite cool. I didn't know that you'd met Mae Musk.
Yeah. So Mae, we met a few times, actually. Mae is really such an inspiration. 75 and fabulous. That woman is just like the woman with the plan. She's just got it going. But she just always amazes me. She gets out there and she's game for just about anything. And she and Fan Bingbing there, you can see the Chinese movie star are like best buddies.
Oh, wow.
Which is a weird combination, I have to say, in my opinion. But
Those
hey,
those musks are all a bit weird. They're a strange bunch, right? We got
well,
to figure
May is
them out.
actually the more normal of all of them. I think May is great. She's,
All right.
of course, everyone's quirky. You
No,
can't be. I mean,
she's
what about you,
I don't-
Gareth? I mean, right? Everyone's quirky. You got to be in
Yeah.
this field.
So, all right. Just because we spend so much time with you, usually talking about celebrities, I think it might also be quite interesting for people to know just a little bit about you and your family, because you've also, not always had the easiest time, because there've been health issues in the family and all these kinds of things. So here's you with your husband and your 2 kids.
Yes, and that's
And
in my house in Johannesburg. And I miss that house so much. There was a pool in the middle of the house, and it was like
Mm.
this just incredible. There's nothing like living in South Africa. I can tell you that. I've lived all over the world, but South Africa definitely is the most beautiful, wonderful place where you get great value for money. So anyway, you see the little one. My little one there is Michael, and Michael. Well, I'll
Oh.
tell you about Michael in a second, and then you can see here it says the Big 10 with the car. That was my other
sorry,
son,
Jen,
Sammy,
just
who
hang
turned
on,
10.
because we lost you for a second there. So you're just gonna have to just go back, because you were
Oh,
talking
okay.
about that, your
Do
house
you
and
hear
how
me
much you
now?
miss. Yeah, and you said, and I want you to say it again. You
Okay.
loved living in South Africa, and you miss it a lot, because people always think if they live in South Africa that there's everywhere else is better. And you've traveled all over the world. You miss this place.
I miss it so much. I loved my home there, and I loved the people. I think, that's why I write for the Sunday Times. I promote South Africans all over the world. It's really been my mission to uplift and showcase all the talents of South Africans worldwide. And I feel fortunate I still have been able to do that with Sunday Times, SABC, and other networks. So anyway, back to my home. This was
Mm.
my beautiful home in Joburg. I miss it so much. And my son, my older son, who you can see to
Yeah.
my left, I guess, in the picture, had the Big 10. So he turned 10. He's now 21. I can't believe it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I
Wow.
know. It's actually really hard for
Sheesh.
me to believe that 11 years have passed.
How do you still look the same, Jen?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, surely this must have been last year or something.
Thank you so much. You guys are just being kind. I mean, I can't tell you. I'm so happy for Photoshop because
Oh, come on.
sometimes you just need it, right? You just need a little
But
extra.
that picture is definitely not Photoshop, and
No,
you're
this
not
is
Photoshop
actually, and this
currently.
is warts and all. That's why I'm really, when I first saw my stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a little
And
bit
you-
scared here. But no, this is me. Like, yeah, this is no Photoshop and no Facetune or anything. Anyway, but so my other one, my little son that you saw there, he
Mm.
came down with cancer, and
Jeez.
unfortunately, it was a really scary time, and that was in 2017 of Halloween. So my little one there in the picture, Michael.
That's
And I took him to the
that
doctor.
that is a horrible thing to happen to
Mm.
any parent. And I remember when you got the news, and I mean, it's got to be devastating for you, because you immediately think the worst, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the worst. It really was. It was my nightmare, and I couldn't eat for like weeks. I mean, I was so distraught. But it was like one thing after another, and then they told me the news that he had acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and he needed to be rushed to. There was only like one hospital in Shanghai that could actually treat him, because the other hospitals weren't equipped for pediatric oncology. So I had to advocate to get him to the hospital and get treated in order for him to then fly. This was now in China. I was actually in China. I was in South Africa working when his teacher said, you should come back because he's not doing well. He's looking very pale. Something's wrong.
Mm.
So I dropped everything. I left South Africa. I ran to China to pick him up because he was studying there. And that's when took him to the doctor. And that's when the prognosis came out. Anyway, he really was so close to dying. And they said that they weren't going to accept him in the hospital because they didn't want a statistic. Who wants a bad statistic on their record?
Yeah.
And, you know, to them, they just didn't want that. So they just said no. All they had to do was say no. And I said, please, I beg of you. And I negotiated with them in Chinese. You know, we talked for a long time. I explained why. And I said, I'm going to then airlift him to the US, where I'm going to put him in the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. So that's what I ended up doing. They did say yes in the end. He was stabilized. I got him to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. I airlifted him with a whole medical team from International SOS. Had no insurance for that because, you know, the company actually didn't cover the international airlifting. Anyway, I got him to the hospital. They then say, after this is like, you know, of basically 32 hours of hell. They say, you know, he's really not in a good shape. He's might be going into total organ failure and we're probably going to lose him. And I said, no, 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 you can't tell me this. I literally broke my back coming here. There is no way that that's going to happen. And I have to say, I have a very strong power of positive thinking. I just know I'm like that. I can visualize I'm going to do something and it happens. So with my son, I knew that I was going to save him. I just did. I knew I was in the right place. This is the best place in the world that is going to help him. And then they did. They really did pull out all the stops. They had the chief of pediatric oncology, Dr. Stephen Hunger, and his team, and they were incredible. And they had a huge, you know, plan. They got him right into ICU, and they were just on it. And you know, I really thank them.
What a miraculous situation, because I mean, most people, I think they just give up at that point.
Yeah.
It just feels hopeless. You know, for so many kids that end up with that particular kind of leukemia, it's like a death sentence.
It is.
And I mean, you must have been going through hell.
You know, it was horrible, and almost all my hair fell out at one point. I thought I was never going to get my hair again, and I didn't even have chemo. It was my son going through chemo, but I had so much hair falling out from the stress, and I just, oh my God, it was horrible, and it was one thing after another, and it was scary. And then one day he couldn't walk, and I'm like, what is going on? It turned out it was the steroids that he was taking that was eating at his bones, and they were eating at his bones so badly that his hip was like damaged, and so were his ankles, and he ended up with something called avascular necrosis and was in a wheelchair for like 9 months. It was insane. So he couldn't walk. And I said, this is so crazy.
But Jen, you know, again, if we talk about the power of positive thinking and all the other stuff that you were talking about earlier, you can't let the negative stuff get into your head, right? Because that's the worst way for it to possibly go, because you're already dealing with the reality of it, but now in your head you're almost making it worse. So how do you deal with the fact that, you know, at this point he can't even walk? What are you thinking?
Yeah, again, I'm just thinking,
he's your son. He's your son. He hasn't even lived his life yet. You know, he's like half your age, and you're thinking to yourself, this shouldn't be happening. It should be me.
Right. You know, I also have to say that Michael was so strong through everything. You know, the kid he had such a great positive attitude. And one thing that really saved him was his music. So he's very proficient in clarinet. He's also an incredible saxophone player. And he would play in the hospital rooms. He would play for the nurses, and he would make up little songs, or he would play something and then I would sing. So we'd be in the hospital room, you know, singing, sometimes singing for the other patients and for the nurses. And I think he just cheered everybody up, and he went into the Seacrest studios. They had a little radio studio there at Children's Hospital, and he started beatboxing. He's such a good beatboxer, and just, you know, got people smiling and laughing. And I think that really when you start to laugh and think, you know, you smile and your whole body just feels a lot better, right? You know, you laugh and you just start to feel a lot more relaxed. Your whole body relaxes. And I think that those things are really important to do every single day, and expressing gratitude. And that's what I always did with him, trying to be grateful. And I'm also so appreciative of all his classmates. So his classmates from China, they all like did this huge poster for him. They signed the whole thing. They blew it up and they framed it and sent it over. And
Oh, wow.
then they sent us a whole packet of Eagles merchandise. That's the Philadelphia Eagles football team. And just like
Right.
all these gifts and wonderful things. Make-A-Wish came out and gifted him with a brand new saxophone. And
Whoa.
I just can't, stop thanking the number of people who really came out and showed support in so many
It's
ways. I never
amazing.
asked for money. I didn't need a GoFundMe, fortunately. I've
Yeah.
always saved up for a rainy day, but um, it just was the messages, the calls, people checking in. And that's all that really matters in the end. I mean, money certainly
Yeah.
helps, but it's really those messages. So when you have someone that you know or love in the hospital, or they're going through something, check in on them. You might say, "Oh, well, I haven't talked to them in a long time." Check in on them. And I love what Sia Kolisi said. He said last week, he just said, "It's okay to not be okay." If you see someone, they seem really, really busy, but they're very quiet inside, you're not really sure what they're thinking, reach out to them and find
Mm.
out, and maybe help them get some help, because, you just don't know what people are going through. And it's really important that we reach out to them.
Yeah, that's such good advice. But the good news is, I mean, he made a very, very good recovery, right? And how's he
Yeah.
doing now?
Cancer free. It's incredible. 3 years of very intensive chemo. He's no longer in a wheelchair. He, in fact, walks. He was in the marching band. He's just doing so great. And then my other son now is an intern at Disney in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pursuing his dreams. He does Imagineering. So he's doing the engineering side of Disney and Disneyland and the
So
theme park
cool.
rides and stuff. So yeah.
That's
So
amazing. All
I
right.
hope you come out
things-
to LA, and then we'll take you on one of the rides that my son has designed one day.
Fantastic.
Oh, wait, do we get like a
Great
free
story.
pass to skip the
Yeah,
lines?
we get a fast pass apparently.
So,
So
Jen,
yeah, I know,
I
I have
heard
connections.
I heard from Bakh'abantu, there's this disgusting story that was in the news like 2 weeks ago about how people just like shit in the lines at Disney because they're too long and the people can't wait. So they just
That's
like shit in the
gross.
lines. Do you know whether that's true or not?
Well, that's in Disney World, not
I do
Disneyland.
not know. I think I heard it was Disney World or something, which
Yeah,
is in
that's
Florida.
Florida behavior.
But
Yeah.
How
still,
disgusting.
it's still disgusting.
Yeah, it is.
I don't
Horrible.
understand, really. I think since COVID, everybody has gone mad. It was mad before, but now it's just completely mad. And I just can't be part of all of that. I'm just
No, I
trying to
agree.
focus on my own lane. I'm just trying to keep my own energy for myself and be happy. And I'm grateful, and I do tune
Okay,
out a lot.
hang on. What about because I mean it's not your fault that this is happening. If it is happening, it's certainly not. But since COVID, so let's just talk about that for a second, because you love to dress up and go out. You love to
Yes.
put on an outfit, go to an event. There's red carpet stuff. You've done a whole lot of awards shows lately, which are also exciting. But since COVID, has it hit the level
The
that
Grammys.
is it? Yeah, here's you at the Grammys.
Yes. Do you want to
Has it
go? G? Are you
yeah.
interested?
Eh.
That's the
You-
Oscars.
You're better at
I
these
finally
things than
went
me.
to the Oscars, and that was amazing. Of course, I was all excited for the red carpet, ready to dress in the red
Sure.
carpet. And then they changed it to a champagne beige carpet.
Why?
year that I'm
What a
there.
horrible idea.
You know what, actually, though? It wasn't bad. I liked it. It does bring
Really?
out the outfits more. And if you go to the Met Gala, you'll see it's also a champagne carpet. I think there is something about that sort of very light background that really brings out the outfits. So I think if you're wearing
All right.
black, it's particularly flattering. But yeah,
Well.
I had to say it was okay. The red carpet, though, was fun. The Oscars was beautiful. They did a very, very nice job. They treat the press very well, but they are hectic with the rules. You
Mm,
cannot show anyone your badge at all. I
yeah.
literally had to tape up my thing, and every time I took a photo, I had to make sure that it was, under wraps and just everything. I mean, I said nothing this time before I used to be like, I'm going to the Oscars. Now I was like, I'm not saying anything. Until I was
Tell
actually
me,
on that red carpet. Then I finally said something.
but there are rules and things. Do you go to any after parties? Because that's where the real fun is.
Yes, I did a really great after party at the Palm Springs International Film Festival. And I got to meet Baz Luhrmann, Austin
Hmm,
Butler, Michelle
hmm.
Yeoh, and Brendan Fraser all in one. It was great. That was my night.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was probably one of my very best nights. I was at the Country Music Awards in last week too.
Wow.
That was crazy.
Okay. All right. And
And
who's still on your list that you still want to meet? I mean, you pretty much met all the important people in Hollywood. Is there anyone you still want to meet?
I would like to meet Britney Spears. Now we met very briefly last year, not last year, a long time ago. And now I would really want to I want to have a sit down with her. I want to talk to her.
Uh,
I think,
as long as she hasn't got knives, we don't want to hear a tragic story of how Jen Sue was cut up to pieces by Britney Spears.
Hey,
oh
Jen,
gosh.
what did you think about this year's Met Gala theme?
The Met Gala theme, I loved it. Yeah.
What was it? I don't remember.
It was the whole chapeau. It was Karl Lagerfeld. So Karl Lagerfeld, and Chanel.
Sorry, just try
Karl
that again in English. I know what you're talking about. Try it again.
Yes, Jared Leto. He came out in a huge cat head. Do you remember the cat head at the Met Gala? That was Jared, your guy. Remember, you and I went to the 30 Seconds to Mars, that concert, and you wore eyeliner.
I don't remember that. I must have.
You, me, and Jono.
I must have the most patchy memory in the world, but I don't remember that. I know our friend Jono who lives in New York, and I mean he's met all the celebrities too because he runs this incredible club in New York. But I don't. Where did we go and see 30 Seconds to Mars?
I think were we in Durban?
Really? Jesus, that's
or
amazing.
Were we in Joburg? Maybe it was Joburg. Actually, it was Joburg.
I have no recollection of that. That's so weird, Jen.
Joburg. I believe it was Joburg. Anyway, yeah. So
anyway, yeah. Okay.
He came out in the cat head, and the Met Gala theme I thought was really beautiful. I loved how people came out in all these Karl Lagerfeld, Chanel-inspired creations. They go all out, and I really want to go. I hope to go. I hope to go.
I have to very strictly advise you against doing any interviews with Britney Spears. I don't want to have to be picking up the pieces and explaining to your husband and children
that I got dismembered.
Yeah, this crazy woman cut you up with knives. That's not my idea of a fun time. So no, don't like that.
Who do you want to interview? Who you haven't, Gareth? Tell me.
I don't know. I mean, I've been really lucky. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've always found that the most famous people are not necessarily the most interesting ones. Sometimes the ones who you don't expect are the ones who you really want to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, even in places like LA, and you could probably vouch for me on this one, sometimes the people behind the scenes are way more interesting. The producers, the people who actually make the deals, the people who come up with the themes, the script writers. Sometimes those people are way more interesting.
And they have the juicy stories, and they will tell them. Yes, because, of course, the stars aren't going to say anything. They're not supposed to say anything. It's the people that see everything.
They're busy protecting their brand, which nobody cares about except them. So, Jen,
I'm so happy with the strike over. We can actually interview them again.
Yeah. So what's been happening in Los Angeles and in LA and in the entertainment business? Because I'm totally out of the loop here. So fill us in. Like, what are the stories people care about now?
I mean, it seems like everybody only cares about Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Especially Taylor Swift. She's just in the news constantly. At the MTV VMA, they had one camera on Taylor. The entire thing, the entire event was just, can you imagine if you were at an event, Gareth, and there's a camera only on you for the whole time? All they cared about was Taylor Swift's reaction to everything. So that's basically what it is right now. It is just dominated with Taylor Swift news. It's crazy.
So Jen, why are people so obsessed with her? Is it because she's got this incredible connection with her audience of young girls? I mean, what is it?
She does. I mean, really,
to
the
marketers.
Swifties,
To marketers, that's paradise, right? They just want in on whatever Taylor Swift can sell for them.
and she just does it. But you know what? Taylor Swift herself, she's genuine, and she is super talented, and she knows how to build her brand and to really cultivate her brand. You know, she's careful about what she does, who she collaborates with, and I think she's an incredibly gifted singer-songwriter. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. She really has the goods, and she just is so authentic in the way she connects with her audience. Now, I went to Barbie. I forgot to tell you, Barbie, that crazy pink carpet. And I met Margot Robbie. I met Greta Gerwig, Kate McKinnon.
What's
Dua
that Margot
Lipa.
Robbie?
I love
Wait,
Dua
hang on.
Lipa.
Back up. What's that Margot Robbie like?
Margot Robbie is wonderful. She has the most flawless skin ever. Like her skin is gorgeous, and she is so full of life. And she's, again, incredibly talented, but she's very, very personable. So she spent quite a lot of time speaking to myself as well as a couple people around me on the pink carpet, signing autographs for people. Just, really, she looked carefully at my outfit, and we were chatting about it for a long time. She really takes time to connect with her audience as well. But she did a phenomenal job in Barbie, and Barbie did so well. That was one of those it came out at the right time. So the timing was right, but the marketing was so great. Like you were just saying, the marketing machine, what is it? The marketing is so important, and the social media and the hype and the people that they got to collaborate with them, all aspects, the music soundtrack, that was so, so good. I love Dua Lipa. I love Nicki Minaj, Ice Spice, all those guys. Mark Ronson, they pulled in all the stops. They made it really fun. They elevated Barbie to another level. And at that time, they still, because they hadn't gone on strike yet, they could actually get the actors out for the premiere and really make it such a big do. And so it was really awesome. And then everything went on strike, and it was a mess. And it's been a mess really up until just recently. And now we're just trying to get ourselves back together. I just got invited to a press event with what's his name? God, I can't remember. Mark
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, thank you.
Wow.
I can't remember. They
what
want
are
me to
you
go
doing
up to
with
New
him?
York for that. He's got a film that's coming out.
He's got a movie coming out.
Yes.
I forgot what it was, but it was such a not Mark Wahlberg movie, though.
Really?
Yes, exactly. It's such a not Mark Wahlberg movie, and those guys, his production house reached out to me to do a press junket coming up in New York. So I get these things all the time. I mean, these things are happening fast, But one good thing about New York, it's close, and I just run over there. But I can find it.
How long does it take you to get to New
York? The Family Plan, starring Mark Wahlberg. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, he's also doing like Arthur the King, and he's like King
really?
Arthur. I'm like,
really?
Mark Wahlberg. Never
Wow,
thought.
Look at that. Jen, how long does it take you to get to New York from Philly? Because last time I was in New York, you also came through to visit
really
us.
like an hour and 15 minutes. Now I live a little further out, so it's a couple hours for me where I live. But from the city, it's only really like an hour and 15 minutes. It's so quick. It's so easy. So people do commute. They live in Philadelphia and they work in New York. It does happen.
Wild.
So. And when are you coming out? When are you coming out to New York? I can't wait to see you, or LA.
I've got to get there. Probably early next year. I'll let you know.
And Rena, is she coming out?
Say hi. Probably. Yeah, probably. We'll make a plan. I promise you wouldn't dream of coming to New York and not letting you know.
I know. Oh, I can't wait.
Not a chance.
I can't
All
wait.
right. Well,
Thank
listen,
you.
Jen, we love you, and I'm
Oh,
glad
we
that you
love
got
you
to tell
too.
a little bit of your story, and we're thrilled that your son Michael's back in action, and that the whole family's doing well. It's just so great to catch up with you, and you keep doing wonderful and amazing things.
Thank you. So much love.
That's really
Thank
good,
you
Jen.
so much
Love you
for
too.
all the support.
Thank you, Jen. All right. Wonderful to see you. There we go. Jen Sue, everybody. You can follow her on the socials. And if you aren't already, you need to see what this woman's up to. She is everywhere, knows everybody. It's
I don't know
incredible.
what Jen was talking about Sia Khaleesi, because poor Pops was just chilling with Sia Khaleesi. Like, this is the man, right?
Yeah, that's not Sia Khaleesi. That is the fake Sia Khaleesi. Who the hell is that?
This man looks like Sia Khaleesi.
He does not look like Sia Khaleesi. I'm sorry.
He does.
Okay, so you got that shitty picture, and then this is the real one with Jen Sue. That's the real one.
Same guy.
No, it's not.
Same, put up a poll or
How
something.
dare you?
Like, that's the same guy.
That is not it. Pops is so full of shit. All right, I love it. Insane. Look, there's Jen with Sia, the real Sia Khaleesi. All right. Thank you, everybody. We got to wrap it up for this morning. Have an awesome Tuesday. We will catch up with you ASAP tomorrow.